The theme I want to bring to you today is be before you become. Be before you become. You see, as a young girl, before I got married, and it is very typical of young women, we talk about all the things we desire in a partner. And surely, if there are any women here who still desire to be married, you talk about what you desire in a partner. You talk about how tall he's supposed to be. You talk about the complexion. You talk about his looks. You talk about his job. And you have a long list of things that you want and what you won't accept. Maybe because men don't talk about it so much, but they too have a set of expectations. Right? They want this to that to this, vitals, right? And they also may have preference of complexion, and they want a woman that is educated. Nobody don't want a body care hold a conversation. And you want someone who is progressive and ambitious, and you set your limitations. But the thing is, I never, and this is me, I never hear a conversation about what I supposed to be going to somebody. So you know everything that you want, but who are you that someone else should pursue you? Be before you become. So the becoming has to do with the position or the goal that you want to step into. The phase of life that you are approaching, and you're setting your standard to attain that. But a lot of what you are going to be in that position depends on who you are in this position. A lot of what you will take into a relationship, whether it be a friendship or an intimate relationship or a business partnership, has a lot to do with who you are independently before you become connected to someone jointly. And the reality is that we get messed up in relationships because we didn't do the work that was necessary on me so that I can be whole to connect myself to someone. We talk about, oh, I want to be a wife with a husband that can do this and do that for me. But what kind of wife are you going to be to that man that you are pursuing? We talk about, oh, I want a godly man. But are you a godly woman that a godly man should pursue you? We talk about, oh, I want honest friends. But do you have integrity that an honest person will want to have a friendship with you? I understand that the story with Ruth is a love story, but if you will just allow me to open up the story and let us understand here that Boaz was not connected to pretty looks. Boaz was not looking at vitals. Boaz saw Ruth at the point when she was laboring. So it meant that it was more than what the eyes could just see, but it was what the character had built over time. Notice he didn't ask who or what her name was. He said, who is she connected to? We're talking about be before you become. So we know the story of Ruth. The part we always focus on is that Ruth was married to Naomi's son. And at this time when we are in chapter 2, Naomi had just traveled back to Bethlehem. They had left Moab because her husband and their 2 sons had died. She had 2 daughter-in-laws. Orpah, she sent both of them back, and Orpah went. But Ruth decided that she would not leave her mother-in-law. Hence the verse, entreat me not to leave thee, nor to turn from following after thee. For whether thou goest, I will go. Whether thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God. Now the thing about that verse that is so powerful is that Moab was a place of idol worshiping. And any deity or godhead that was in control of the territory, that is what everyone was expected to pledge allegiance to. But when Naomi and her husband settled in Moab and their sons took wives, the wives learned the way of the Lord. And so when Ruth was saying, thy God be my God. In other words, I am going to reject and I'm going to leave behind everything that my culture has already taught me. And I am making a commitment to remain faithful to the God that you have taught me about. Because when she entered into Bethlehem, this was the land of the children of Israel. This was the land that they believed in God and they believed in the only true God. And so it meant that she would have to stand under that governance as well. Not only that, but she was still in the house of the woman who had taught her about God. And that's the reason why family is so important. Because you as the head of your house, you set the tone of your house. You dictate how your house going to run. You can't be a Christian and your children don't want to pray. The devil is a liar. If you condition your house to go in the ways of the Lord, then pick me, brother, sister, uncle, everybody has to stand before God. Whether they want to choose after they leave your house, that is their business. But once they're under your covering, then they must acknowledge your principles and they must acknowledge your values. Nowadays we see a society where picnic can get up and gone where they want to go. I remember when I was growing up, even if my mother wasn't going to church, I had to be in church. Even on the days when we now go to church, you know the kind of music that has to be played in the house. Everybody going to turn on them radio to the best gospel station because there was a sanctity with which we took the Sundays or we took the worship days. Nowadays, your mother in the house praying and son out to do a blasting stereo and I play all sorts of nastiness. But we must understand that you are at the head of your household. It is what you accept that your children will do, and they will either conform or they will have to go. That is how I see it. Because unless you can condition your house, then who is in control? If you can condition your house, who is in control? So not only was she taught in the strange place, but she was still under the same governance. And so if she's going to stay with Naomi, then she's going to have to worship. Just as Naomi would have taught her. Now the story also, we find the story at a place also when Naomi is still grieving. Because her husband and her sons had died. That cannot be an easy pill to swallow. And so even though she travels back, her intention is that let me go back to the place of my family, where people will sorry for me. Because by law, provision has to be made for Naomi. Amen. By law, according to the Levitical law, the poor and the destitute had to be taken care of. The widows had to be taken care of. Yep. And so how they would gain their food is that after the harvesters have gone through the field, naturally there are going to be some grains that will slip out and end up in the field. Not only that, but they had to deliberately leave some grains around the edges of the harvest. So not only were they getting the ones that would drop off by the way, they were getting deliberate and intentional produce at the same time. So Naomi travels back to Bethlehem, and this now is going to be her source of sustenance. And her daughter-in-law says to her, Mommy, may I paraphrase? Mommy, I will go out into the field and I will do the gleaning. I'm sure that Ruth was not thinking about finding a husband. She just wanted to find favor. She just wanted to find food. Maybe Ruth's expectation was even so low. If we can just find something today, and then we can just worry about tomorrow. But she didn't understand that something supernatural was going to take place. And she didn't understand that she was about to experience something that nobody could have told her or assured her. So she went about her business into the field. And as the Bible would have it, it so happens she was not intentional about whose field she was going into. It just happened to be that she was in the field of Boaz. But can I tell somebody that what may seem coincidental to us is not coincidental to God. Sometimes we buck upon and saw that she was a stranger. I want you to understand, but the thing not to ask if she was unmarried, because the women that were in the field, they were only there because they were poor and destitute. So if she had a husband, the husband would have to be providing for her. But the fact that she is here, he already knows the condition. Can I tell somebody that where you are, you don't need to remind God, because God knows your condition. You don't need to tell him what you're going through. Even if you feel like that's fine, but you don't need to tell him, because he already understands every little bit of heartache and pain. Now that would say, he understands, he knows the situation that we face. He already knows. Matter of fact, he knew it before you experienced it, and he has already created the pathway. But what you need to recognize is that he doesn't need your help. Your responsibility in the situation is to learn what it is about. It is to be what you need to be. That's when the opportunity presents itself. You can become what he has called you to be. Be before you become. Be before you become. So Pershina's peradventure find herself in Boaz's field. And Boaz came right about the same time when she was busy gleaning. And he said to the supervisor of his field, or the harvesters, who does that young woman belong to? Who is she connected to? Now we must by now know the women that were in his field gleaning. So any unfamiliar face is going to stick out like a sore thumb. So this is not just about whether she was pretty or not. This is about the fact that she's a foreigner. And understand that a foreigner treading on your ground, they may be a threat to you. Not only that, but Boaz could be a threat to her, because she is in an uncommon place as the only foreigner in that common place. So peradventure he asked who she was connected to, so he could understand with what relationship does she think that she had the privilege to be on his land.
What brought her here? Come on.
What would have brought her into this place?
Yes, this field.
Because she was strange. And he was told of his servant who she was connected to, how she came and she requested of them to glean in the field. And what I love about this verse, it says, and from she came from morning till now, she's still working except for when she takes a little break. You know why I love the verse? Because it showed her character. And it showed her character at the time when Ruth didn't even know someone was watching. The truth of the matter is if we know that we're upon expectation, if we know that we are under supervision, we will pretend and you want a good evaluation, so you have to make sure say you dot your eyes, you cross your T's, you turn up to work on time, and you don't leave till work done. You make sure you're properly attired for work and you're punctual. You make sure that you're obedient to your authorities. But at the point when Ruth wasn't even concerned about who or who was watching, it was at that point that Boaz took notice of her. Let me tell you something about why this word is so powerful to me today. It's because at whatever point of your life that you are at, there is something that you want to pursue. There is an opportunity that you're looking for. There is a relationship that you desire. There is a business that you want to step into. There may be a job that you want to seek employment. But if you're waiting on the opportunity in order to become who you need to be, then the opportunity may come when you are not ready. And I want to say to somebody that you're not supposed to be waiting until the opportunity comes. The opportunity is to find you ready and waiting. Let me say to somebody and take this very seriously. If you are sitting, and I was very this word because I can't go around it without touching on marriage. It is the basis of where this story goes. But a lot of young women, sorry if it sounds like me a bash, a lot of young women, you desire to get married, and you desire to have these social media goals, and you desire for your life to look peaches and cream. But let me tell you something, that is not the sum total of marriage. You better get ready to minister to somebody. You better get ready to cover somebody in prayer. You better get ready to know city like never before. You better get ready to war in the spirit. I don't know who is on this live that desires a relationship, but you better get ready to understand that you come into covenant, and not only is your husband holding you accountable, but God is holding you accountable. So lest you think that this is for the faith of God, think about it again. I'm not here to discourage nobody. Let the married people tell you, because maybe me still young in life, so it may sound like what I know. Then if me young in life, and I tell me say no for the faith of God, I want the people that were married long time to say. This ain't for the faith of God. And this is not to deter anybody. It is to advise you to go into it wisely.
It's a ministry. Come on now.
It is a ministry. Whether young or young in heart, and you desire to be connected to somebody, don't, and I say this with all respect, do not go and mess nobody's life up because you were not ready. Both men and women, make sure that the state of being is conscious and mature enough to take on someone else's life. And at this point, Ruth was not talking about marriage yet. This was just him recognizing her while she was cleaning. And the report that he got of her was what drew him to her. As I said, it was not looks. It was not shape. It was not qualifications. It was not job status. It was not who her family was. It was the character that he heard. It was the reputation that preceded her. Can I say to somebody that it doesn't matter what you are waiting for. It doesn't matter the opportunity that has passed you and you feel like it's not going to come again. Let me tell you something, that was not your opportunity. But if you stay steadfast and if you commit yourself to be who God has called you to be, the opportunity of a godly partner will locate you at the right time. And the struggle that you will have to face, trying to struggle with somebody that was not meant for you. Let me tell you something, physical things won't last.
Come on now.
Physical things won't last. Let me talk for myself. Hello? When I just got married, I was a size 28. Don't tell me nothing. We women know this. When you want your wedding dress to fit a certain way, you do the needful. So when I got married, I was a size 28 waist. I was about a 50 something hip. I felt nice. Wait till when? Worries.
Still up the curves and the edges on it.
Thank you. It ain't 28 no more. It's a way over the inch measure that way there. And I say this because I made sure I lady so that fifth Sunday needs to address the things concerning the family. Because we don't get the time enough to talk about these things all the time. And the reality that I looked at in the Word as I was looking at it this morning is that there are some artificial values that our young people are learning about marriage. Some superficial things that they are being taught by media. And if the person don't fit into that frame, they sit their whole life waiting on a 100% Barbie doll Ken, and it ain't gonna come. Because when you see surface in a looks, I'm have a surface in a character. When you see surface in a character, have a surface in a looks. That is the truth. And the reality is that some people have some pretty devils and pretty Jezebels that they have to be living with right now because they didn't choose right. And the reason why they didn't choose right is because they didn't choose godly. And I want to encourage somebody that is sitting here now, not because this is about a relationship, whatever it be in your life that you know you are chasing, that is not God's will. I want to tell you to release your grip of it right now because you're about to walk into some destruction, and God has an opportunity waiting for you, but you have to choose His way. You have to choose His way. Can I even say to somebody, don't be sitting there and worrying about when it's gonna come? Because remember, Ruth was not thinking about no husband. This woman was thinking about the need that she had. She was busy cleaning for a provision. I don't know who is in the field right now. It could be a financial field. It could be an educational field. It could be a relationship field. It could be a mental field. But wherever you are, I want to tell you there is power in the gleaning. Because with the one quarter full basket, so while you are picking up your bits and your pieces, know that it is coming together. While you are picking up your small grain and wheat, know that it is coming together. Individually, it may not look like much, but wait till the end of the evening. What looks like little is about to pass over, and not only that, but a favor is about to locate you. A favor, an uncommon favor, a supernatural favor is about to locate you. And what you never even carry forward, the container is about to locate you. There is power in the cleaning. There is power in the cleaning. It may look little, but there is power in the gleaning. It may look insufficient, but there is power in the gleaning. It may look inadequate, but there is power in the gleaning. Somebody telling you that business ain't gonna work because you don't have the big capital. There is power in the gleaning. Somebody tell you that not gonna work. You ain't gonna get that job because you only have 1-2 subjects. There is power in the gleaning. The reality is some of us, we ain't gonna get it lonesome at one time, but there is power in the gleaning. If you know how to see it right, there is power in the gleaning. 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 I don't know who's out there, but keep gleaning. Keep gleaning. Keep gleaning. Keep gleaning. There is power in the gleaning. Let me tell you something. The thing that I can appreciate is when a believer allows an unbeliever to discourage them. Because the things that you understand, the unbeliever won't. So how dare you tell me that the business can't work? Who you? Who is my God? Do you understand whose child I am? Do you understand who I am connected to? Do you understand before I even turn up here that my God already parted the water? Do you understand to me? When you step to make that application to that university, let somebody dare stop you if that is your opportunity. Do you understand who my God is? All women can't find my family lineage. If I'm my opportunity, they have to let it go to me. I share testimony with you. If you understand the story that I have had to write at SAS, you will understand that many opportunities have come and gone. Many that looked like they were for me and I chased after them. But that was not in God's will for my life. Maybe something else would have happened if I had gotten those. But you see, when you are moving with the speed of of the Holy Ghost, God will allow the opportunity. Though it look like a giant and you look like David, God will allow an opportunity to come to you even when you think it's not going to work out. Even when things look like the doors are shutting in. Even when it look like say a little bit. Keep on cleaning. For if you don't weary in well doing, you will reap. If you faint not, weary not in well doing. For in due season, in due season, in due season, in due season, your season cannot expire. The word of God says in due season. Your season cannot die because the word of God says in due season you will reap if you fear not. When your season is due, it has to come around. I want us to see the favor that Ruth received. Ruth got lasting protection, or insurance as I call it, because he was said to her, don't go in nobody else's field but my field, and no matter what, nobody can touch you on that field here. What a protection. No man can lay a finger upon you in this field. Only in my field. Just strange, I know. Just foreign, I know. But the favor of God had reached Ruth. She got lasting protection when Boaz advised her to clean only in his field and that no man will touch her. She got provision for when she was on the job. Because understand that sometimes when they're out there cleaning for the entire day, they're not on feet. And if they want some water, they better walk by the well and draw water and come back. But she got access to what was already drawn. In other words, it wasn't just provision, but it was easy provision. Because instead of having to go in search for it, it had located her. Can I tell somebody that you're struggling with something now? Let it go. Watch your provision come to you. Don't think that it is only in Bible times. The God then is still the God now. So it's not. It was Jesus yesterday. It is Jesus today. It is Jesus tomorrow. It will be Jesus forever. Stay right here. So whoever provided then for Ruth is able to provide now. Whoever supplied for Ruth is able to supply now. So why is it that we're operating as though blessing season has gone? I believe that we're still in an era that God will bless us. And I remember some time ago we had a seem to be blessed in an uncomfortable place. Even in an uncomfortable place, God can still provide. How do I know that? The word of God says, according to Psalm 23, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely, not for adventure, not coincidentally, not by the way. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell, and I will dwell, and I will dwell, and I will dwell, and I will dwell. As the keep of God something, what shall I render to Jehovah for all his benefits towards me, and I shall dwell, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. One verse says, all the days of my life and inquire in his temple. Is it to a believer that we're all growing, yes? We're all growing. I'm nowhere near God's highest heights. But to a believer that, sometimes we're up here and the believer said, why? Jody alone can't think so, you know. And she didn't know me I got through. It took years to get here. I struggled with a lot of things. Worrying was anybody know me know that worrying was my biggest problem. Because I'm a futuristic thinking kind of person. If when I map it out, I can't see, 2 years down the line it will affect it. I delay until I make up my mind. I operate that way with simple things and big things. But God has taken me to a point where I can live a life of peace and faith. Because I deliberately decided that worry will not kill me. If I worry, it don't change. So why frustrate my brain to try sit down and I wonder what will happen and it's still not going to provide a solution? So to somebody who is looking on, you will see pastors and ministers and other brethren and you will think that, I'm not going to get to that place because, let me tell you something, it's in the gleaning. It's in the gleaning. It's in the little. It comes together to make much. I am a sum total of every experience of my life. I'm a sum total of every victory and every failure. I'm a sum total of every battle won and every battle lost. I am a sum total of every trial and tribulation. What am I saying to somebody? Even though Ruth experienced this favor, she could not forget that she was there for the gleaning. Can I say to someone that even after Boaz had favored Ruth, what did it say? After she ate, she went back to glean. You are the sum total of your experience. You are the sum total of your experience. And this favor that Ruth experienced, she still didn't see the magnitude of it. Because Boaz and Ruth would have given birth to Obed. And Obed would have begot Jesse. And Jesse begot David. And out of the lineage of David came Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. That's why we say that. Of the tribe of Judah. The dead raiser. The ultimate redeemer. The deliverer, the way maker. So what Ruth never know was that she was the gateway to the world's redemption. Can I tell somebody that there is power in the gleaning? What the big picture is you may not know. But keep on gleaning. What the opportunities coming you don't know. But keep on gleaning. For if you weary not in well doing, you will reap. If you faint not, wait for the Lord. Be of good courage, and he will strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say on the Lord, that everywhere. It was Jesus yesterday. It was Jesus today. It was Jesus tomorrow. It was Jesus when Naomi returned to Bethlehem, Naomi really thought that this was it. Naomi didn't have no husband, so she can't take possession of no land. That was how destitute things were. Women didn't have power in those times. So it's not like now when someone can say, this was my husband's land and I come to take possession of it. But Boaz was Naomi's husband lineage. And And it was through the interaction with Ruth that Boaz ultimately would have become their restorer. And look at this story as a reflection of God in our lives. Everything that we have lost, everything that the devil has ate up for us, everything that the enemy has tried to spoil for us, the word of God says, and everything that the conquerors and the palmer worm and the locust and the caterpillar has eaten, that he will restore. He said he will restore our wasted years. Is there anybody that knows there are some things that you need God to restore? Trust in him and him alone, and watch him be your restorer. Watch him make a clear path before you. Watch him make a straight way before you. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. There is none that comes to the Father but by me. Brethren, my greatest desire for the body of Christ, not just be a mission, but the body of Christ, is that we truly understand who we are. Understand who, if you understand who we are, we'll be a bit different. We'll be a different. And based on the way you behave, people just have to treat you different. That's just the truth. People have to treat you different. But because we behave like so, we are common mango. Then everybody just come and believe of God, and this is somebody's posture beside you. The devil is a liar. Once you behave different, they have to treat you different. I said in a word for the other day, tell somebody I am royalty. Handle me that way. I need for a young girl, a young boy, a woman or a man to understand that you are royalty, because you're joined here with Christ and here to the throne of God. We are no strangers. The word of God says we are sons and daughters because we are engrafted into the family of Christ. We are ordinary. And I leave you with this. There's a quote that I believe it's Maya Angelou said it. I'm not sure. She said a woman should be so hidden in Christ that in order for the man to get to her, he has to go through Christ. And I want to extend it to say a man must be so hidden in Christ that for a woman to get to the man, she must sleep in Christ. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you. May he be